Welcome to the Reticle Up podcast, where I, 3-Gun Kenzie, will be interviewing competitive shooters, hunters, fishermen, archers, entrepreneurs, and outdoorsmen. Come learn with me as I interview people from all walks of life, in different disciplines, all across the world, from novices to professionals of all ages. No matter what, everyone has something they can teach you, so come join me on the journey. Welcome back, listeners. I'm here with Sloan Sanders. She's a competitive USPSA shooter, a master class in open, and I recently met her at 2-Gun Nationals, which was awesome. Sloan, how are you doing?
I'm good. Glad to be here.
Love it. So yeah, your focus is in pistol. What do you think of 2-Gun?
Oh, well, it was very interesting. It was really fun to get out and do a different discipline though. I was focused on open for so long that it was really fun to learn something new and just really be challenged in a different way. And I feel like I just learned so much too that I can even take back to pistol with just learning fundamentals of a new thing. But I learned a lot, let's put it that way, and I'm ready to come back and redeem myself a little bit.
Hey, part of it's the guns. The guns don't run.
Yeah, that was the big thing.
Yeah.
from first stage. So there was really no hope from coming back,
Oh yeah, it's a hard challenge, and I think a lot of people don't realize that. The cool thing though is your skills in shooting pistol are so applicable to any gun that you pick up, right? So you're automatically kind of got an advantage with other firearms.
Well, that's my goal, is to really try and be familiar enough with every pistol, rifle, that kind of thing, that where I can really pick them up and shoot them well and just be a well-rounded shooter.
Absolutely. So 3-Gun is what we're saying.
Oh, I don't know about that.
One day.
That sounds like a lot of ammo, a lot of cleaning, and a lot of practice.
You named it. It's horrible. I don't know why we
time for that.
Yeah. So yeah, jumping in here, you're a mom, a competitive shooter. You reload. Okay, we've got 2-Gun under your belt, and you're making it all work. Is there anything else you do, hobby-wise, that we don't know about?
Well, I'm also a doctor of physical therapy, and I work 4 days a week as that. So throw that in there. And then I enjoy working out too. So it's kind of another hobby, but
awesome. Yeah, I see your Instagram of the workouts, and then I also see the ice cream,
Oh yeah. You got to balance it out. Workout and ice cream.
I love it. So let's jump into it. When was the first time that you picked up a gun?
Honestly, I don't remember. I grew up in the firearms industry, in the ammunition industry. And so it's really just kind of been a way of life for us. My parents were really great about, it was never an odd thing to have firearms around, but we were taught from day one to respect a firearm. It was used as a weapon, as a tool to enjoy and to, for sport, but also for protection. And it was just a way of life for us. So I don't really remember the first time. It was just always in our lives, I guess.
Yeah. So when you say grew up in the industry, was someone in your family, in the industry?
So my dad started Precision Delta a few years before I was born. So we make ammunition and bullets. So I was just always, as a young child, being taken from match to match, trying to sell bullets. And that was the childhood of an ammunition factory person.
I love it. So you're like a Girl Scout, basically.
Yeah. But buy my bullets. Yeah.
Such guilt trip. So where are you from too? People don't realize where people are located, and that it's a way of life where you live. So where is that?
I'm from Cleveland, Mississippi. So actually born in Rubel, Mississippi, which is the size of a pinhead. That's where Precision Delta is. And we slowly migrated 8 miles west to Cleveland. That's where I pretty much grew up.
It's so cool. Yeah. You and I have a similar story. I think I remember when I first started shooting, but yeah, for us, it's just normal, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Every day. So do you remember who, I'm assuming it's your dad, who taught you to shoot?
Yeah. So growing up, he was the one that taught me how to shoot rifles for hunting. And, Saturday mornings we would ride around the pond to see if there were any snakes to shoot, that kind of thing. And then when I started shooting competitively, I started with rifle and shotgun, actually. Oh. And he is the one that got me into that. When I transitioned to pistol, he kind of handed me over to his friend, Johnny Brister, who's pretty well known in USPSA. And he kind of took me from there. But growing up, it was always my dad. Yeah.
That's so cool. When you say started in rifle and shotgun, was that like competitions or like just practicing? What did that look like?
Yeah. So when I was 12, I started shooting with our 4-H club here, and I
Yes.
shot skeet and 22 rifle.
So cool. So many people, and I, including me, I just learned about it, don't know that 4-H, like I thought of, the
Yeah.
cattle and the pigs.
Uh-huh.
Didn't realize there was like shooting involved with it too.
Yeah, and now even around here they have pistol and archery, which I think is awesome.
That's so cool. Have you done archery too?
I dabbled here and there. I mean, growing up, I always loved shooting, playing around with it, but I've never done anything serious with it.
Yeah, yeah.
Pretty
That's
much
awesome.
anything outdoors, though, I'm all game for. So, and I've probably tried it.
What's the craziest like food you've eaten that most people would be like disgusted by?
Oh, food. Oh, I'm not very adventurous in food.
No, like frog legs or like gator or like
I've
any of
frog
that.
gigged. I will catch the frogs.
Yeah,
I will hand grab the frogs, but I'm probably not going to eat the frog.
that's awesome. I used to do that. Like crabbing is so stupid with like a kitchen utensil.
Uh huh.
I don't even know what that looked like, but I remember doing that in Louisiana. So
The last time I went, we hand grabbed them, but I was like 12.
okay. That's so cool. That's so cool. So when you grew up hunting too, I didn't get this experience, but till way later, did you hunt duck or deer or something else? Turkey?
Mainly deer. I grew up like going to the deer camp with my dad, and that was like some of the best memories of my childhood with my dad is just going to the hunting camp. I mean, when I talk about hunting camp, not fancy hunting camp, like just bare minimal hunting camp, like packing the bag full of honey buns and sitting in a deer stand freezing my tail off, but eating honey buns and listening to my Walkman while looking for deer. So yeah, that was mainly, but then also some dove in there too.
Cool, cool. Okay, so for people listening, I barely met Sloan, by the way, but like your history and my history are so similar. I remember going in the duck blind, freezing, yeah, and it was the crappiest place to stay for sure, like bare minimum. It had wood walls, like no insulation. And I remember it was oatmeal cream pies for me.
Oh yeah.
Cream pies. Oh God, I don't really know that I ever shot anything. I know I shot at things, but I don't think I actually hit them.
That's my, if you ask my dad about my dove hunting, that was about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Grandpa shot it and he's like, no, you did good job. Don't lie. Even then I was like, don't lie.
Yeah. Pretty sure all the ones that actually hit were on the power lines.
That's awesome.
Which might not be legal. I'm not sure.
No. Oh my God. Did you learn how to like skin it and process it and all that?
Oh yeah. I mean, my dad was real big about, if we were gonna do it, like we don't hunt just for the sport of it. We ate it. You skinned it, you ate it, all kinds of stuff. So yeah.
Oh my goodness. Did you actually like cut up the meat?
Uh-huh. We didn't actually process it ourselves. Like we would skin it and like
Quarter it. Yeah.
yeah. But then we would take it to a processor. But
So cool. So I don't know if you you saw this or not. I don't think we were friends before then. I learned how to skin a deer this last year. And I took it to the processor and, we hung it up, whatever. I was like, hey, can I do this myself? They're like, what? Yeah. So I learned how to do it all. Chop the legs off. I was like, yay. But I haven't gotten to quarter it yet. I think that'd be really cool. And they hang dry the meat or whatever. I don't know. That process is not what I know.
Yeah. I don't know past taking it to the processor.
Yeah. Yeah. One day. Do you remember like the moment, I guess, personally that you like fell in love with shooting?
Growing up, like I said, I started with 4-H and shotgun and rifle, and then started shooting pistol at 15 with USPSA. But I was also like playing a lot of other sports, and so I was, I guess, doing a lot of stuff through high school. Then went to college, and shooting kind of took a little bit of a back burner because I ran cross country and track.
Of course you did.
Took a lot of time. And then also just concentrating on academics. So I shot here and there, but not anything really consistent. Until my last year of physical therapy school, I kind of got back into it and had the time to actually put it back into it. And that's when I really realized I didn't have too many other burners in the, irons in the fire. And I really realized that like I have such a passion for the sport, and that's really what I wanted to do.
That's really cool. So you did get a junior experience though, like 15 years old to like 17 when they age out. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like?
Honestly, back then there really wasn't that many. I mean, I know there were now that I'm older and like have met people from other parts of the country, but like around here, there were not any other juniors. It was me and just some men that kind of took me under their wing, and it was wonderful. I mean, everybody was always super nice and always willing to help and teach me and that kind of thing. But there definitely weren't very many girls or other juniors.
Yeah, and that's better now for sure, but there still
Yeah,
aren't that many.
it is much better now. And I've learned about other things like Steel Challenge and I feel like there's a lot of juniors in that, and I can't wait to get Maddie involved in that too.
Oh. And who's Maddie?
Maddie's my little girl. She'll be 3 in September.
Oh, cute. And we'll talk about raising kids soon too around guns because I think that's awesome. Little mini me. So do you remember like the first gun that you personally went out and bought yourself?
So, growing up as always around guns, I was really blessed to always have guns like at my disposal for that, for shooting and stuff. But my first one I actually purchased is probably my Glock 43,
Nice.
for concealed carry. Yeah.
That's awesome. So what was that experience like? You had a lot of people obviously that were knowledgeable, but did you try guns before you picked the 43 or what was that process like?
I kind of did. My husband, we kind of had a lot of different guns. My dad has some different ones, just carry guns. And so I kind of played around with theirs and decided that that's what I liked. My husband kind of helped me to, figure out which ones were kind of reliable that he liked. He was pleased with the reliability of them and stuff. And kind of went from there. And I liked the way the Glock 43 fit my hand, and it's small enough to be able to conceal it, but it's large enough to be able to still shoot it well,
Yeah. Reliable gun. That's what I carry. So that's kind of cool. Didn't know that. Which let's talk about that. So your state, I don't know a bunch about Mississippi. Do they have permitless carry or do you know?
I don't know about the term permitless carry, but yeah, it's pretty open. You can pretty much carry without a concealed carry license. Now I do have a concealed carry license and an enhanced carry license. To get the concealed carry license, you just basically have to fill out the paperwork, get it notarized and apply for it. An enhanced carry, you have to actually take a course for it, but you can carry in your car and on your person without a license in Mississippi.
Yeah.
There's
Nice.
just a few like restrictions to it, like where.
Yeah, where you can go and all that. And the enhanced stuff is where the reciprocity comes in, I'm sure, too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which is similar. I mean, Tennessee just got the permitless is constitutional carry, which is neat. But I still feel like, I don't know about you, that people should probably still take a class.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know as much about taking a class just because, how I grew up is, I didn't really now feel like need to take a class. But at the same time, there's so many people that I know that I've run into. I teach some lessons and stuff, and women that have guns that have never even shot them, or their husband went and got them a gun and they have no idea how to use it.
Yeah.
And so I do think a class or some kind of instruction would be really handy with that, is getting people a little bit familiar if you're going to carry.
Absolutely. Those guns that their husbands pick out.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And I just feel like, not knowing your gun, not knowing how to take it apart yourself, like it doesn't matter what gender, what age, like none of that matters. That you need to know how to field strip your own gun, clean your own gun, how it shoots, all of that stuff is really important.
Well, and even as a man, like you said, no, it doesn't matter with a gender. I mean, we run across men all the time that haven't been around guns that much, but they think, oh, I should get a gun for protection, but don't ever go out and actually use it. So if you're gonna rely on that gun to save your life, you need to be familiar with it and know its ins and outs.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and then the legal laws of everything would be helpful. Google that.
That's true, and that was one thing that I did. I feel like the enhanced carry really helped me, was just learning. Like, they go through all the laws in there, and I think that was really important.
Yeah, because they're hard to remember, and a lot of people don't realize they change. Legislature, I can't say that right. They change a lot, and that's what's interesting. And like, not all states are just completely reciprocal. I don't know, back and forth, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, why do you carry a gun every day of your life?
I carry primarily for my protection and my child's protection. I live in a rural community, and there's not always law enforcement available. You might get in a car and drive, and
you mean a law enforcement officer isn't right next to you?
Exactly. You might get in the car and drive and not meet another town for 2 hours, so there's not always, a law enforcement officer there to help you. And, me and my child go on runs all the time. I'm out in the woods, by myself, and I don't want to have to rely on somebody else for my safety.
No, no, no. You touch on a lot, and it doesn't matter where, right? Yeah, rural is important, but yeah, you've got a kid too to think about. So a lot of people, they'll think about, I don't know if this was, it's probably not but my mom's process still kind of getting there is like, oh, like, I don't know if I could kill someone. I just say, well, you have 2 grandbabies. Would you protect them? And then she's like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah. I'm like, yeah.
Mhm.
You got to figure out.
Do I want to kill somebody? No, but if it's my child's life, then, I'd hope that I could kick it into that gear.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you wish just more people in general understood about concealed carry or carrying a gun every day?
Probably just that if you're gonna conceal carry, or if you're gonna carry, if you're gonna rely on that gun to save your life, that you need to be familiar with it. I think that's the biggest thing I run into.
Yeah.
With people that come and want a private lesson or something, is they literally bring it in the box that it came in. And I mean, I just love that they're coming out and wanting to learn, because if you're going to rely on that to save your life, you've got to know how to shoot it and be comfortable with it. So my biggest thing is, if you're going to carry in your car, in your house, whatever, just be familiar with your weapon.
Yeah. And okay, so we don't want to tell people how many rounds a year, right? But the average person probably maybe shoots 50 rounds a year, right? Ish. And what
Exactly.
surprises me, how many people do you run across that don't carry with one actually in the chamber, or have a safety on, or have 2 safeties of the back strap and the thumb safety? Where are they going to remember to take all those safeties off or engage them and rack the slide and shoot if they shoot 50 rounds a year, if that?
Yeah. And that's why I'm kind of going back to what my biggest recommendation is, just being so familiar with that gun. There's a lot of women that I do run across that aren't, in shooting sports and that kind of thing, want a safety on their gun.
Yeah.
Which I can understand, with children around, it's just, the more safe you can be, but at the same time, like you said, each one of those things is one more step that you have to do. If you're in that situation that you have to use your weapon. And so just being familiar with it. And if you're, just being super familiar with it and practicing with it so you can utilize it.
Yeah, because it's possible. It's 100% possible. People carry 1911 since forever, right?
Yeah.
But if you don't get a good draw and you don't get a good grip, and that backstrap safety is not, and you can safety yourself and cost yourself a life. But
yeah,
we laugh or we smile, but it's like, it's really hard to explain to people how important it is to know your gun.
Yeah, and just from a medical standpoint, your dexterity is the first thing that goes away when you're in a heated situation, and emotional situation. So you remembering to do all those little steps and having the dexterity to get the safety and get the, the slide release and all those kind of things is, kind of goes out the window too.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of people, can't even rack the slides yet, or they still haven't worn down their slide enough,
Yeah.
That's interesting. So going back to your daughter, has she shot a gun yet?
Not yet. She's only 2.5, or will be 3 in September. So not yet, but she already has some guns.
Does she know she has some guns?
She doesn't know, but she does have some. Yeah, I feel like it's going to be any moment, as soon as we feel like she's, ready for it, maturity wise and physically. She loves to watch me shoot and loves to, if you ask her where her mom is, I might be aware, she's probably going to say I'm shooting. So she definitely has grown up around it. I shot nationals when she was 5 weeks old. So she literally has grown up on the range. So it's going to be really fun to see, if she takes to it, or, no pressure if she doesn't, but it's going to be interesting to see how that all develops.
You said something that was interesting, like your game plan. I want to hear the game plan, but you already said kind of part of that is that it's a level of maturity and then the physical capabilities of being able to fire a gun. So I think a lot of people ask, what age? And it's so different for everybody. Think about even now, level of maturity for certain people, right? It's not an age, it's the person.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely. It's very each child is different. There's some teenagers I wouldn't put a gun in the hands of. So you really can't put an age on it. It's just all on their maturity, ability to follow directions, ability to follow commands, know that they're going to do that. And, then the actual physical ability, their hands have got to be at least somewhat big enough. And, you got to be able to reach the trigger and be able to actually hold up the gun.
What we pick out for her first firearm then that you're going to try?
I don't really know. Probably a little 22 though. just something that you can learn the fundamentals of shooting, how to handle the weapon and how to aim, how to really look at sights, and learning just the fundamentals and then progress from there.
I love it. And I don't know actually the rules enough. I should with the age. Do you know what age they can start with Steel Challenge?
I don't know. I really don't know on that. Like I said, I didn't grow up shooting Steel Challenge, so I'm not super familiar with it, but I think it's a great concept of their ability to start with actually shooting, learning how to put those sights together, learning how to put the sight on the target, hit the target, transitioning, all that kind of thing without having to worry about movement and moving the gun. So I don't really know what age though they can start yet.
I feel like they're as young as 13, maybe 11. I have no idea.
I think it's pretty young.
Yeah.
I think it is. Yeah.
We'll look into that. That's what I'm gonna do. People already know, and they're probably like, why do you guys not know? But
My child's only 2, okay?
And I don't have kids. I don't want to hear it. Oh man. Okay, so going into the competition side of things, you said you started 15 years old. So I want to hear kind of the story. What was the first match like? What was the first gun like that in division you shot in USPSA? Like, what was going through your mind then, if you remember all of that?
Okay, I do definitely remember my first major match.
Okay.
So like I said, I grew up in Cleveland, so we have a really, really small club, like 10 people, pretty close to here. So that was kind of my first like quote unquote match experience. But my first major match was a Mississippi Classic.
Ooh.
I would have to do the math on what year that was, honestly. But I tell people it's amazing that I still shoot because it was like cold and rainy, and it was like the most rain. Like you couldn't even drop your mags because you couldn't find them under the water. Like there was that much rain. People were like running behind you catching the mags. Yeah, I tell them it's a miracle that I still shoot because that was my first experience. But it was so much fun. I mean, obviously I enjoyed it. I'm still here. I don't even know how many years later.
I love it. So, what gun division did you shoot there? Like, how did you learn how to, draw a pistol and run and gun at that age?
I started with a Springfield XD, just really simple production. And no, I say really simple, but just like broken down production out of the box, nothing fancy. And I just learned the fundamentals. I mean, just nice and slow, and just learning how to line those sights up, learning how to grip the gun, learning just the fundamentals of it. The guy, Johnny Brister, that really taught me the basics of shooting and all those years as a junior shooter, he told me I had to shoot production until I made GM, and then I could switch to open or switch to something else, which thankfully he let me swap before then, or might still be production, I don't know. But I think it was really great because I really learned the fundamentals of gun manipulation and iron sights, and I think that will take you so far, no matter what discipline you want to shoot.
Absolutely. What class did you make it in production?
B class, I think.
There you go. That's too hard anyways. No, thank you. So hard. But you're right though. Iron sights, knowing your round capacity, calling your hits, and reloading for life.
Yeah.
Kind of important stuff.
And if you get good at those with the production, I mean, it will only take you that much farther in any other discipline.
It's funny because like I'll talk about with other people on the podcast about how like open or limited can make you like sloppier, maybe, and that's true and not true. But now, like when I go back and I do practice with my Glock 43, I'm like, oh my God, this is easy. Recoil management is easy. I don't even know why. I just feel like because I'm so confident with a better gun that the like older ones, I know, just like, oh, it's fun now.
Mm-hmm. I really do think that any division, like any kind of weapon, either you're shooting, any kind of firearm, is gonna help you with other ones.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think it was great that I started out in production, but you do learn other things from limited and from open and single stack and revolver, that will help you shoot the other ones as well. So
yeah, have you shot all those?
I've not shot revolver.
Me either. I want to.
I think it would be kind of cool, but I actually had a whitewater kayaking accident back in like 2000 and like really tore up my right arm. And so that's actually why I switched to open, because I didn't have the grip strength anymore for production, which now thankfully I've gained it all back. But back then I was having trouble with controlling the recoil and everything of the production gun. So anyway, I have tried to shoot a revolver, but I'm not quite sure I'm strong enough. Maybe I need to start doing the hand grippy things.
I do those. Yeah. I've gotten to see like the Jerry Mitchell model revolver, which is really cool. My friend has it and he's local to me. I'm like, dude, I just want to borrow it next month.
Yeah.
I won't have a clue. He's showing me how to like strong hand load. We can load.
We should do it. Let's do it.
We'll make it like a thing where we challenge other people to try this division. It's so funny.
Yes. Let's bring it back.
Okay. I'm in. I'm actually in for that. So you shot limited, you shot open production, and like you found open. Yeah, now I understand more of like the recoil management, but you found open to be fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've actually never shot limited. I've shot single stack in production and open. PCC one match.
Okay. Well, the PCC was to prep for 2-gun, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I shot one local match and then I shot PCC. 2-gun nationals. Yeah.
I remember you telling me that.
Probably should have shot a little bit more of that before.
No.
But yeah, so I just really love open. My really goal of why I wanted to switch to open from just a young age was I saw all these awesome girls shooting, going to world shoot. And I thought that was like the pinnacle of, USPSA shooting. And my limited knowledge, I thought that was my best way to get there was to shoot open, on the ladies open team. So that became a goal of mine from like a really young age. And that's why I really wanted to switch to open. And then once I did, I just love it. I love dabbling in other things too. I really do love single stack, but I think open will always be like my home.
I like that. No, and I think a lot of people forget to have fun.
Yeah.
And like we do tell people, maybe start out in production. That's maybe not the best advice always either, where it's like, do you have fun? No.
I reloaded 10 times.
Now I find PCC to be fun though.
It is. It's very different, but it is fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So you shot the XD. Did you shoot any what did you do for the single stack gun?
I have an STI Trojan.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. A lot of fun. And then what's the open gun that you shoot now?
I shoot a Phoenix Trinity Honcho 38 Super Comp.
Yeah, you're one of those non-boomer boomers.
With what is a non-boomer?
Because you shoot 38 Super Comp.
Oh.
Not very many of those left, So anyways, so the open stuff, how did you train from iron sights into dot training?
Lots of dry fire. I got my open gun in the middle of winter, so it was like I couldn't get out quite as much. I mean, I could have, but if I was more hardcore, but it was really cold, and so I just started dry firing and dry fired and dry fired and dry fired. And I am actually left eye dominant, but right-handed, and so with iron sights, I have to close my left eye to be able to see. Down with iron sights. So really then that was a big transition of trying to learn how to shoot with both eyes open with the optic. And it was just a lot of dry fire for me. But once I, got familiar with the dot and everything, it was a pretty smooth transition from there.
That's awesome. So like mechanics wise, do you do the scoop draw?
The what?
Like the scoop draw, or how do you draw your your pistol?
I don't know about the scoop draw, but I just draw. Yeah.
And you have like the open top holster though, right?
I have what?
Like the open top holsters or like race holsters?
Oh yeah, I have race holster. Yes.
I don't know what they're called. I don't shoot open.
No. Yes. So yeah, I run the Double Alpha Academy Alpha X holster.
Oh, okay. Good thing you just brought that up. Okay, you have the new belt. Tell me about the system, because this is probably the first time people have ever really heard the breakdown or someone using it.
Yeah, it's really cool actually. It is made up of lots of little links. It's almost kind of like Legos. So
you got it above you. Yes. Okay, cool.
So it's made up of like Legos basically. And you just put them all together. I don't know if you can see, but you just fit them all together and a pin goes in between each one. And it's really cool because it really hugs you, really hugs you. That's what I like about it. So normal belts are really stiff. So, it's kind of no matter how tight you make it, it's kind of like a circle, but for me, I like it because it just really hugs every part of you. And then you just roll it up and put it in your bag.
That's so cool. So how are they mounted? How are those mag pouches on there?
So they didn't mount just like normal. So just with the normal belt hangers here.
Whoa, this
Yeah.
is fascinating. How long did it take you to do that?
Not very long. I mean, just because I'd never done it before, it probably took me 20 minutes, 20, 30 minutes to put it all together just because I'd never done it before. But now that I like know the process, I think I could do it a lot quicker.
That's awesome. What do you think newer shooters should know about setting up their belt? Maybe like first time belt setup, where should the pouches be? How should they be angled? Tell us through for that, like what you do.
Well, first off, you need to look at your division. So in USPSA, there's different regulations for, different divisions, where your holster can be, production, like has to be like behind your hip bone, that kind of thing. Open, there's not any regulations. So you just I have my gun at like just where my natural arm would hang. Cause most start positions are hands naturally at sides. So, I have my gun right there where my arm naturally hangs. So it's just a natural draw up. Then my mag pouches are where I can just take my hand straight down, grab a mag, and for reloading. But you would have, if you have never started before, you just need to look at your division that you want to shoot on the USPSA rule books and go from there. And they usually give you pretty good guidelines too.
Yeah, and like your front mag pouches, like your natural point of aim is not going to be sideways back here. So a lot of people, when you rotate your hand, it's comfortable. So that mag should be sticking up. But the ones in front, it's natural to be canted. So that's what a lot of people don't know to set up,
Yeah. So my front mag is pretty canted. It's not too much because you still got to get it out of the pouch.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have it completely over sideways, you're gonna have to be pulling out as well. But you can kind of see here.
It's so cool. Don't you wish you had that for Two Gun Nationals?
Yeah, girl. And so then these are the Double Alpha Academy weighted dry fire mags, which I love, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So then you're pulling here instead of pointing straight up at you or having to come out and then up.
Yeah. So a lot of people, natural is not just going to say straight up and down or straight left and right. So that's pretty cool.
You want to maximize your movement. So the least amount of extra movement you have to do, the better.
Yeah. Shouldn't be awkward.
Yeah.
I learned a long time ago. I had a wake up call. I didn't realize it. My holster for limited whatever was too far, just like awkwardly straight back. Yeah. I didn't even realize like your natural point, like you said, with your hand is kind of in front of your like. I look at my belt seam or my seam on my pants to see exactly where my holster should be. Mm-hmm. That was a wake up call, especially 3-gun. 3-gun doesn't matter where you put all your stuff. So I didn't need it back here. I need it like right here to grab and go.
Yeah.
Who knew?
It takes a little, we all learn from experience too. Yes. Your first belt setup is probably not going to be the one that you stick with for the rest of your career.
No. Let's talk about a little bit too with like index points. So, when you're about to run a stage, where are your arms resting? How do you know that you're in the position and you're ready to have that good draw?
Yeah. So I rest this part of my arm right here on my right here of my holster or right on the mag well of my gun. So I'm resting right here. So I always know that that's where, that's kind of where I am. My left arm just kind of naturally at my sides, basically.
Yeah. And a lot of people, they just don't know when you're starting out, you need to have the same exact draw every single time. You need consistency. So it throws me off. I rest my other hand on the top of one of my magazines. When that magazine's not there in 3-gun, if it's like a shotgun caddy, I'm like, I don't know where to put my hand.
Yeah. And you get so in tune with everything too. I don't think about that I rest my arm on my mag, but if one is not there, I definitely realize it. Yes.
Yeah, 100%. So work on your index points for sure. Okay, you said workouts. What does your physical training look like? And is there anything unique that you do like for shooting competitively?
Yeah. So, like I said, I'm a physical therapist, so it's kind of my forte is just working out and stuff. And with my little girl, I can't really get to the range as much as I would love to, or as much as I used to, for live fire. So I have to really rely heavily on my physical endurance and strength and dry fire. So I try to train pretty sport specific, in my physical training. So we run a lot, just for basically activity tolerance, endurance, strength and conditioning. But I also do a lot of footwork drills, like ladders, box jumps, those kind of things for like speed, quick movements. And then just strength training, squats and weights and lateral lunges and those kind of things.
Yeah. So what are some of the things that you've seen at whether it's major matches or local matches where those movements are playing in? Like what are the props and what are the windows? What are all those things that you see at matches?
Yeah. So even just at the little local match I shot on Sunday, there was a hard lean out to the right. And that is purely quad strength, like being able to get down that low and maintain that position in a stable way so I can shoot is all pure strength. So, that's why I work on those lateral lunges, weighted lunges, and just squats too, just to make sure that no matter what the position I have to get in, I'm going to be stable and strong enough to maintain it.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember there was a stage, I want to say South Carolina sectionals, where you had to do the low port in the middle of it and then spring back up. And you're like holding, I had a PCC at the time. So I'm like, crap, you're having to awkwardly get up without putting a hand down or doing anything. Yeah. You gotta be able to explosive movement, basically.
Yeah. And that's part of what I love about USPSA. I'm sure 3-gun is kind of the same, but you never know what you're going to be dealt, I don't know how many times I've gone, just everything you can ever think of, getting up off tables, running over things, squatting down, having to get back up, going prone and having to get back up, diving into prone, those kind of things. So any kind of exercises are going to make you more agile, stronger, and just activity tolerance to be able to maintain a whole day's worth of that is going to help you.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't shoot their pistol prone, like ever.
I actually don't mind shooting prone because I feel really, really stable in prone.
Yeah. And I don't know why more people, but they don't train like that, or you don't see a lot of matches, but you'd be surprised at how often you might need your pistol on the ground.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, it's good training. Yeah. 3-gun, I've climbed over A-frames, not attached to anything rope wise. So when I fall and die, it'll be at a 3-gun match.
Maybe I do need to try 3-gun.
It's epic. I mean, I've shot out of a helicopter, inside of a moving vehicle. Like it's been interesting. So, okay, for dry fire, what drills do you work on for those kind of practices?
I really rely heavily on dry fire. So I do kind of a creature of habit, but also believe in fundamentals. So I always start off with draws, just trying to get out of the holster as fast as I can and get on the target as fast as I can.
Do you have part-time for that, by the way? Like, do you have a timer and that you're working towards time?
I do have a timer. I don't really use part-time that much. I should probably do that more. But I'm just working on like muscle memory, working on making sure my movement is exactly how I need it to be. And getting on the target as fast as I can. That's something I really struggle with, is just speed, like getting out and onto that target as fast as I can, getting that first shot off. So I do draws, I do reloads, I do strong hand, weak hand, I do movement. I basically set up stages and the dry fire stages in my house.
That's so cool. What targets do you use?
I have all of them. I have USPSA wins, I have IPSC wins, I have poppers, I have swingers.
Oh, the swingers are huge. Yeah, I've seen those cool little movement ones.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Do you shoot IPSC as well?
I do. I actually really love IPSC. IPSC's kind of like my game. I really love technical shooting.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I really love IPSC, is because it tends to be more of a technical kind of thing. I don't shoot it that much. It's just because we don't have that much around here. But I usually shoot IPSC nationals. Of course, you have to shoot IPSC nationals to qualify for world shoot. So usually shoot IPSC nationals and then world shoot.
So a lot of people don't know the difference between IPSC and USPSA, obviously besides targets ish, yeah. But can you talk about the biggest differences maybe on, like you said, technical shooting versus USPSA?
Yeah, their matches are just set up a little differently. I don't know about their like smaller matches, but their major matches have a certain amount of small stages, moderate stages, and large stages. And you just really have to, it's much more, I feel like, points based, and you have to really be consistent and get those points, because when you have so many small stages, it's hard to make up game like you can on like a huge stage that has a lot of points available at it. So this consistency is huge, and getting good hits is really big. So I really like that. But then open, there's a little bit different rules for your guns and for your equipment.
I have heard like the PCC mags, I think, are restricted to 30s plus one or something.
I think so. Our big sticks have to be a little bit smaller. Like I have IPSC big sticks and USPSA big sticks.
Oh yeah, the base pads were huge. I was at Area 6 when Justine, oh, I always get them mixed up, bumped into open because her base pads were the IPSC ones.
Yeah, I heard that. That was so sad.
I was on our squad for that, and that was day 2, and I'm like,
yeah. You can't take
check your base pads. Oh, go ahead.
Your base pads. You can't take a sight picture of your gun before you start. So you can't walk a stage before. So they give you your time, and then you can't go onto that stage until it's your walkthrough, and then you can't go back onto the stage until it's your time to shoot. You can't go outside the fault lines if you're running like during a stage. You have to stay in the fault lines.
Which I kind of like that ish and not, but it makes it fair-ish for people who don't move as fast as but like 3-Gun Nation had those rules. They're not around anymore, but it was, their fault lines, you had to stay in it, so you were forced to all basically go in the same direction. But
yeah.
Interesting. Becky Yackley just shot overseas, and so did I watched Max and Linda were on their squad. So that's what I was learning about, like the PCC capacity and the walkthrough restrictions, which I think are kind of neat.
Yeah, I think it, like you said, it kind of levels the playing field a little bit. Everybody's just dealt the same card, and like you just really get to see who can shoot it the best.
Yeah, it looks a lot of fun. I've never shot one. I want to. Like you said, there's not enough around the country. But okay, so live fire. When you do get to the range, what do those drills and practices look like?
Again, I'm kind of a creature of habit, but I'll just always start the same way. And then it's easy to see progression as well. So I always start with draws with 1 shot, and then I move to draws with 2 shots on the same target. Mm-hmm. Then I move to draws with 2 shots in a transition. And then for the ammo shortage, I would then do the 6 alpha drill a couple times to work on getting that speed in there with the accuracy at 7, 15, and 25 yards.
Cool.
And then move into just what I want to focus on that day, which usually has an element of movement in there. But it might be strong hand that day, or speed or accuracy or whatnot. But I always kind of start with those basic things and then move into the more complex things.
Love it. What's your biggest weakness?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Biggest weakness, probably speed. Like I said, I would like to say I'm more of a technical shooter. Mm-hmm. Give me the harder targets that I have to really focus on hitting them. But a stage that you just have to go really fast on is burner. Yeah, those are probably my weaker things. Yeah.
Okay. Now we know how to beat Sloan. So
no,
that's the secrets. That's the thing about matches, though. They're never going to be one thing or one flavor. That's the good and bad news. You have to be a well-rounded shooter.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so for newer shooters, what obviously they should do all of these things. What are some other things maybe they can do to improve upon their skills or their knowledge to compete?
Dry fire. I feel like it is like one of the things that people don't utilize as much as they should. Watching videos. I know people probably think that a lot of videos are just taken for Instagram, whatever, but I actually sit and review with a notepad my stages, and then I use that to fuel my practice for the next session. So really actually analyzing your matches, analyzing your practice. Sometimes I film my practices, then I watch my practices and come home and dry fire the things that I struggled with in practice, whether it be drawing to weak hand or reloads that day or something. There's a lot you can work on then back at home if you have limited time on the range.
Yeah, absolutely. I tell a lot of people this, I don't know if you agree or not, but like when you're practicing, because you're tired, you're exhausted, you're hungry, and you are still practicing, but you're doing wrong practice, that's almost worse.
Yeah, you're right. Mm-hmm. The same way with dry fire too. If you that's why I like the weighted mags, because it kind of gives you the same feeling as it would drawing with a full mag. But if you aren't focused in and really focused on your movement too, it's almost worse, because you're then reiterating bad habits.
Yeah. And the speed will come. I mean, you have to be fast and accurate, both things, but starting out to don't try to go super fast and hit those draw times that the pros do.
Absolutely.
Right? That's the biggest thing.
Absolutely.
Comparing yourself, like when you're starting out or maybe taking it more seriously, how often would you try to push yourself to keep up with someone or compare yourself to others when they're putting more work or, have more experience than you?
Yeah. I grew up shooting with Shane Coley, so that shoots for Glock. So we were about the same age. He's a couple years younger than me, but we are from the same area. So yeah, we were always I was always kind of looking and trying to beat him, but you just got to play your game. And no matter what level you're at, you just got to shoot your game and focus on your hits. That's the main thing. Like you said, starting with hits, because it doesn't matter how fast you go. If you can't hit the target, you're not going to win. And just focusing on those hits and focusing on your game, shoot your game. And, I still do that to this day. That's my focus during a match, is just shooting my game. And then everything else will come.
Yeah, absolutely. So how come you didn't go, AMU with the rest of them?
Well, obviously Shane's a little bit better than me. But I was I think I was too focused on all kinds of other sports at that time too.
Yeah. I mean, anybody that's come out of AMU is like untouchable. I mean, they're still competing at the top altogether and changing, but my God, that program builds shooters.
Absolutely.
Okay. So open division shooters need to reload, find a load that works for them. Obviously you grew up in the ammo industry, so it's probably a lot more simpler for you. When did you start reloading and learning all of that?
Really when I switched to open. So I always shot factory ammo, went through production. And then when I switched to open, there really wasn't very many people making 38 Super Comp in factory loads. So that's when I started reloading. Since then, Precision Delta has started making 38 Super Comp. So I got to enjoy that for a little while, but then thank you, ammunition shortage, and all those have been funneled back into 9mm. So factory loading, but I feel like it's a fun skill to have. And, like you said, learning the most I can learn about my gun, how my gun works, how my ammunition works, it's just going to make me a better shooter.
Yeah. That's something I'm afraid of pistols because I will blow up my hand. Rifle's fine. Shotgun's simple. Those are very simple. But the pistols, like, okay, so how often do you take every single piece apart? Like, do you do a sonic cleaner? Like, what do you do with that gun?
My gun. So before every major match, every spec of my gun is inspected. So it's broken down completely, inspected and cleaned and put back together and equipment checked before every major match. So.
And you know how to do all that?
Yes.
Holy cow. How?
I mean, I do have assistants sometimes. I'm super blessed. My husband, Sloan Sanders, shot with me for a long, long time and has taught me pretty much everything I know about all that. And so he's always here to lend a helping hand. So that's how I know. And he helps me a lot too.
Cool. That's cool. I can get my 2011 down-ish, but not until when I see people with every part laid out. I'm like,
Yeah.
That's scary.
It can be really intimidating.
A little bit, especially when like I would have to bring the bag of parts, which I've done before, to someone be like, here.
Yes. So, and I think that's kind of what, even kind of not going back to concealed carry, but just learning your gun. And I realized a couple years ago, my husband was really on me about learning how to do things myself, and not to be mean, but just because the more I know about my gun, the better of a shooter I'm going to be. And I said I had princess hands because I was really just given this gun to shoot and given this ammo to shoot. And I just got to go do the fun part, but then when the little girl was born, my husband babysits her a lot so I can go shoot. And, we weren't always together on the range. And so then I'd run into a problem and I had no idea what to do.
Yeah.
And so that's when I really just started. He really encouraged me to start really learning how to do it myself, so I could know how to fix things. And I knew how it all ran and I knew how it all worked together. And I do think it made me a more confident shooter, just more well-rounded in that.
Yeah. So I need a week boot camp. I really would like to know. I mean, there's not like a class, or maybe there is for 2011. It's like I've seen like the Glock Armors course, the SIG course, right? Yeah. I would love those too, but I have shoot 2011, you know how 2011. I have an AvTech extractor. So I learned that recently. Becky and I, though, we took it apart at Low Cap Nationals.
Yeah, I think I saw a video on that, maybe.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. She posted a picture of that because we were at the safe table. It wasn't working. I needed new springs. I didn't know that. But it was funny because somebody else had to come help us because we didn't know how to put it back in.
Yeah.
I'm trying. But it's fearful though, that not knowing that once you know it's easy, but the learning part's hard.
No, it is. And that was my thing that happened to me at Two Gun Nationals. My gun literally wouldn't work. And I had shot it so little, I had been practicing with, but I had not run into any issues with it. And so I literally had to look at the arm and be like, I have no idea what to do. Like,
do you remember I was there for that?
I do remember.
Okay. I felt bad.
Really horrible moment.
But you weren't last. You came back. You did awesome.
But I felt very helpless in that moment because I literally just did not know what to do. I just didn't have the experience with that gun. And I knew how to shoot it, but I didn't know how to tear it apart. I didn't know how to figure out what was wrong with it. I'm going to find out that was a piece of brass like stuck back inside the gun.
It didn't extract. It pulled back with the everything.
I'm not really sure what happened and what caused it.
I've had that done. I'll take the lower off.
About PCCs to know the technical language on that, but it was taken to the gunsmith, and the gunsmith found the piece of brass back inside the gun.
Yeah, that happens a lot. So yeah, they won't extract, and then literally you have to take the lower off to get the brass out. And it's funny, I have a PCC laying in pieces. I had to swap out a trigger broke, the sear broke. I'm just rebuilding it, which is really fun. Yeah.
Well, look at you go, girl.
Yeah, PCCs are easy-ish. Rifles are easy-ish. Like I took a class though, a paid class from Double Star. Actually, they sponsored the class for me, and I'm like, oh my god, I was the only girl there. It was the best thing ever. Right before this call, I actually was on the Kestrel Ballistics beginner class, and then I'm taking an advanced class, and it's over Zoom. It was the only female.
That's awesome.
It's
you
cool.
Good girl.
But I mean, you inspire that in a lot of people, and that's what's super impressive about. Yeah, knowing someone that can reload, knows their gun, take it apart. It doesn't matter what gender. Again, I would love to know everything. It's hard.
It is hard. Well, and all of them are different too. So it's hard to know all of them,
Yeah. So how long did it take you to like find a recipe that your gun liked?
My husband was helped me with that, and we kind of had done a little bit of research, so we kind of knew a starting point at least. We started out with 3 Vidavoria 3 and 3.8. I don't remember how many grains it was, but it was just really flashy in my gun. And so we switched to 3 and 3.7, and I've honestly been there since then.
Yeah, you should tinker if it works.
I literally have not changed my load in 6 years.
That's awesome. It's awesome. It works. It runs. What press do you run?
Dillon 1050 with a double alpha bullet feeder.
That's so cool. It's awesome.
The bullet feeder was a baby present.
Oh.
That's a true shooter right there. When it was another shooter, girl, Megan Smiley. She knows me well. She knew that I hadn't have time to reload, and so she gave me a bullet feeder to make it faster.
That's awesome. So sweet of her. Oh. So in a perfect world, we won't even say pre-COVID, but pre-COVID, what primers, powder, and bullets do you prefer? You already mentioned the powder, but for the rest of it, what do you use?
Yeah, so I use Winchester primers, and then Precision Delta 124 grain jacketed hollow points, and then Vidavoria 3 and 3.7 and Starline brass.
Oh, I love Starline. They're such good people.
They really are.
They're so great. Good. I need to send a picture actually still. I shot cowboy action for a really long time, and
how fun.
It was fun. And then
what
I remember Maverick Fitzpatrick.
Love it.
I had to rhyme. So bad. I remember Jaleesa after I was ROing stage 2 at Low Cap Nationals or something. I can't remember what year. She came up to me with once fired Starline brass that she had like collected out of a revolver or whatever, and gave it to me. And I was like,
oh,
it was so cool.
It was.
That was fun to see her shoot revolver too. I mean, they
yeah, and very well.
Yeah, very, very well. Uncatchable at this point. So what nationals have you shot and competed in, in your lifetime?
So pretty much open nationals. So I've shot USPSA open nationals and IPSC nationals every year since 2014.
Okay.
I did skip IPSC nationals right before my little girl was born. I was like 8 months pregnant.
That's not an excuse. I'm just kidding.
Well, I shot USPSA nationals 5 weeks after she was born.
That's crazy. Yeah. No.
Yeah. nationals that year, she had spent more nights in a hotel than she had at home, thanks to shooting at 5 weeks old. But yeah, so, and then I've shot 2 gun nationals, the first one this past year.
So, I mean, these are dates that are booked in your calendar every year that you don't miss.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
My job knows those are my vacation days. Yes.
I love it. What's been your best like finish to date at any of these nationals?
Second place would be my best. I was second at USPSA Nationals 2016, I think.
Cool.
I've been third numerous times, and so that's one of my really big goals is to win a nationals. I've been third, I've been second. Really want to be first.
I would assume so.
Yeah.
So what is that like? I mean, putting in all that work and at least getting up there in top 3.
It's really gratifying, you know, just putting in my work starts for nationals the day after the you know, I shoot one, the next one, the preparation for the next year starts the day after. And it's really, I mean, my whole year is just built on peaking at the right point for nationals. All the matches I shoot throughout the year, I handpick for, you know, just to make sure I'm building the skills I need to peak at nationals. So when it all comes together and comes to fruition, in a podium at nationals, it all is it's awesome.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. So, all right, hear me out. I'm a terrible mediocre shooter-ish because I want to shoot all of the things, right? No, I shoot PC, I shoot 3-gun, I shoot NRL 22 now, apparently. I want to do it all because it's fun.
And I think that's awesome. I wish I could be a little bit more like you because I'm so focused.
No. I want to be good. And then I beat myself for being good, but I'm not putting in that work. I'm not doing that for a year and a year and a year. Like, that sounds awful with one gun. I
need to be a little bit more like you. Maybe we could take a little bit of each other though.
That's where I'm coming from. This is a plan. Oh my gosh. Because I want to do well. So I
want to be more well-rounded.
Okay, I can do that. I can teach you, just don't do what I do. No.
There you go.
So yeah, I love that. We need that. I think it's cool though. I mean, not many people put that time and effort in anything, but they do. So you're picking matches that have maybe like movement, or you see swingers, or you see the different things that are all going to be incorporated in the nationals, right?
Mm-hmm. The harder, the better.
Yeah. And then a year out, I
pretty much start pretty much start the day after nationals, and I take a little bit of a break just because I've worked so hard, especially those last few months right there before nationals. I mean, my weekends are pretty much shooting, and my weeks are playing around dry fire and live fire and strength training. So I do kind of take a little bit of time to decompress, usually through the holidays, and then start January. Really, though, it's pedal to the metal again, and trying to just really build so I peak at that right time.
Yeah. And then as far as like gear and gun prep, I mean, what does that look like months out? You already said like break down the gun.
Yeah.
But what are you checking, rechecking, and doing? And
I really recheck. I mean, that's a continual process for me. Before every major match, which I try to shoot at least one a month. My belt is maintained. My mags are maintained. I'm checking every screw. I'm checking every, my gun, my belt, all of it is maintained and checked throughout the season. So I really don't do too much with my equipment, I would say, like at the end of the season. It's kind of a continual thing for me there.
Yeah. And once you find what's work, you kind of stick with it. I'm a Safari Land guru for sure. But like with 3-gun, it's so easy for us we have caddies, we have rifle mag holders, we've got pistol that we just need to swap in and out without having to take the belt off. So it's a whole different mess.
Y'all have a lot more equipment.
It's too much.
A belt and mags and a gun.
It's really, Do you have a like backup belt and backup gun and all of that?
Yes, I do have a backup gun. I don't really have a backup belt per se. I do have backup mag pouches that I usually will take one with me, but Double Alpha Academy's belts are really just second to none. So, oh, hi. I have a little visitor here.
I love it.
What you doing, sweetheart?
No. Did you teach her the stick out the tongue trick?
No. I did not. Kind of lost where I was on that.
Yeah, just running the gear and the guns. Yeah. Like you said, double alpha, you find what works,
Yeah, their equipment I really don't have to worry about too much. I mean, it just runs. So I don't really have to worry too much about having a backup mag or a backup mag pouch or backup belt or anything like that. But just in case, I am too kind of a planner type A kind of person. So I usually have one in the bag somewhere.
Same. So when you get the matchbook, are you like immediately looking at that, analyzing stages? Do you set up any of the stages at home before?
The only thing I'll really set up, and this has kind of progressed as I have progressed as a shooter. I used to really do it, but then I would find that I would get to the match and it would be different. And then while the fundamentals were the same, but then it would almost kind of throw me off because I've been practicing this target to be over here. And then I get to the match and it's over here, or this way or something, So now I just really kind of look at them and see if there's anything weird, if there's like a specific start position that I'm not familiar with, I need to practice, or if there's one that has, say, 3 shots per target, I might practice that a little bit. If there's a lot of strong hand or weak hand, I'll practice that. But I might set up if there's a specific short stage that I can set up that I feel like I can do really, really well, but I don't set up too much.
No, 2-gun 2 was completely different. And like I was an RO. So even ROs, like right before we shoot, they changed all of like the dump buckets and the start places and the roll or the stage briefs. And I was like, holy cow. So I just walked that. Now I got to walk it again. Now I got to shoot it in 5 minutes. Like, oh. Okay. So when you actually arrive at the match, like you said, stages might change. How do you walk stages? Like, what's your process of doing all of that?
I first just try to get the whole like picture first and don't get overwhelmed first. And then I just try to figure out my movements and try to figure out my steps and how I'm going to shoot it, my game plan for it. And then just try to remember it for the next day. But I really don't stress too much about it, but I try to get in as much as I can. So I have less to do the next day and I can just shoot. But I don't do anything too fancy.
Yeah. Yeah. But you are looking at every single stage, even if it is like a 3-day match, just to absorb it.
Yeah, mostly I will, if it's like too big of a match, then, and it's half day format, some days I will just look at the next day.
Yeah.
And, especially if it's a half day format, I'll have the time to go, the next day and look. So if it's a huge match like that, like nationals and half day format, I'll just look for the next day. So I'm not too overwhelmed.
Yeah. I feel like you're an shooter.
Yeah. Usually by the end of it too, I've already forgotten anyway, if I looked at it 3 days prior. So, I just kind of take it one bit at a time.
Yeah, that's fair. That can get overwhelming. And I was gonna say you're probably an AM shooter because you wake up early.
Yes, I am much. How did you know that? I'm a
because
much.
You're a mom. Anybody that's a parent, I feel like it has to be an AM shooter. I'm a PM shooter by trade. Like,
yeah, no, I'm definitely an AM shooter, and by like 3 o'clock, I'm toast. So,
I'm like complete opposite. I want to sleep in. I want my coffee. I want breakfast to digest. No.
Now, I will say I kind of enjoy that second day where I get to sleep in a little bit because I don't ever get to sleep in. Mm-hmm. But by like 3 o'clock, I'm like chugging energy drinks trying to like stay awake.
So you're telling me you can sleep in. It's still there.
I can because my child wakes up with the roosters every morning. So I'm still like somewhat sleep deprived. So yeah, I definitely can sleep in one day at least. I mean, my sleep in is like 7 a.m. though.
Absolutely. Yeah. So what are you doing day of game day? You're in the hole and then you're on deck. What are those two different, like, I guess, time frames look like for you? What are you doing then?
Okay, so I try to be a team player and tape and everything until I'm in the hole. And at that point I go into like Sloan mode. I put my earplugs in good, usually walk around with them kind of like half clicked out. Put those in good, put my muffs on, and just kind of go into Sloan mode. And I visualize the stage, like every movement, where I want, not only just every target, but where I want to hit the target, where I want to see the dot on that target. And I just go through the whole entire stage, visualizing every aspect of it. The way my hand feels on the gun, the way the recoil is going to feel in my hands, and trying to picture where I want that dot to hit every single time, where I want to see that dot. That way, when I'm up on the line, I can just kind of let it go and just let muscle memory take over from there.
That's neat. Something you just said that most people in the shooting industry kind of know, but open shooters are loud. You should have 2 sets of earplugs.
Yes.
If you can.
Yes, you want 2 sets of earplugs. And if you're standing behind it, it might make your teeth rattle a little
It's
bit.
awful. Yeah. Like I RO a lot of matches. I bring muffs. I never wear muffs. I have in-ears. I'm like, great, muffs. And I remember just one match, I think it was Alabama sectionals. Every RO on my team borrowed my earmuffs when the open people came up. I'm like, yep.
Yeah. For the longest time, I didn't know what people were talking about because, like, my husband shot limited, and that I just wasn't around other people that shot open that much, and I didn't RO that much. I'll run the pad, but I don't necessarily RO that much. And so for a long time, I didn't realize what people were talking about until one day I started practicing with another girl that shoots open. I was like, oh wow,
Yeah.
I feel like my teeth are a little loose now.
And I mean, even double muff too, but like when you're behind guns that have a lot of recoil or are very loud, like it doesn't affect you as much, I guess. Like even when I shoot my rifle, I have a massive muzzle brake that poof, like moves wind.
Yeah.
When you're behind the gun, you don't really see it, feel it, whatever. Beside it, you're like, oh, that was awful, right?
Yeah, you really don't feel the, I guess, percussion of the gun right above my gun behind it. But the RO feels it.
Oh yeah, every time. Okay, so you're there, and RO says make ready. What's happening right then?
I put Barney my mag and think about my dot, and that's all.
Yep. I think a lot of people don't Barney mag, and I love high cap.
Yes.
High cap.
I want every bullet I have to my advantage.
And I have used every bullet I have needed.
Yes.
I love it.
I mean, I don't care if the Sage only has 10 rounds on it. I'm putting a big stick with a Barney round in there.
Okay, this is huge. So no matter what you shoot, and again, I'll probably go back to 3-gun with my life, but if you've got a stage and there's only 4 shotgun targets, right? And you've got 9 in your tube for my capacity, I still carry 8 rounds. I don't know why. I feel like if something happens, I've got them there. You just never know what's going to happen. So like, it's better to have more ammo or just keep what's natural and normal to you, even maybe if that's seems like too much. Like you said, like still have a spare, maybe have a backup to the spare.
Yes. I keep my belt the same no matter what. Now, if it truly is like a classifier stage only has 8 rounds, I might shoot a short stick. That's still 24 rounds for me though. So, but it doesn't matter what, I'm still going to have each one of my mag pouches has a mag in it, because there's been too many times that I've had a yard sale on the range and you lose a mag, or you load that mag and it doesn't work and you have to rip it out and put another one in. Yeah. And if you started with one, you just had to rip out the next one. You're going to that third mag.
Oh, 100%.
And you never know when that'll happen. So yeah, I try to always be prepared for every situation. The last thing that ammo girl wants to do is run out of ammo.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like, I mean, I think shotgun all the time, 8 rounds, on a caddy, and like, oh, I'm only gonna need 4, put 8 rounds on there. Maybe do 2 8-rounds. It's
definitely not going to hurt you to have extra ammo.
Yeah. So that's cool. Okay. After stage, I actually keep a journal. I don't know what your process is. So when you're done shooting, are you taking mental wins away? Like, are you breaking down what went right or wrong? Or are you using video for that, like the next day, or what are you doing?
During a match, I really don't think about too much. I just try to actually start fresh every stage. I might take a mental note for like later if it's something I really want to work on or something like that. But at a major match, especially, I'm literally cutting that stage off and moving on to the next one. I'm not going to, we used to say in cross country, the hay is in the barn. Like by the time you get to a match, the hay is already in the barn. There's nothing I'm going to learn as that match is going on, and be able to really change as that match is going on. So I've just got to shoot my game and stay in it. And for me, that's starting fresh every stage and not letting the stage behind me affect my next one. Then after the match though, I take my videos and I take all those mental notes and to assess all of it. And that's what I use to fuel my practice for that next week or so.
That's cool. Yeah. I've had to start doing journaling just because I know for videos for 3-gun, I didn't know if what's going on here versus the video back there. And I'm like, okay, I need to remember that I did not do that right, or I hit this wrong, or Yeah,
and that's a great way to do it. And maybe even journaling too, writing it down and then letting it go, you know. But that way you have it to come back to. That's a great idea.
Yeah, that's why I've had to do that. And that was a Mike Stoker tip, by the way, from Superville Analysis team. I was like, you actually handwrite things down. I kind of made fun of him, but I got a journal and it works. Like wins and then things to work on. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, and it's a great way to feel like track your progress and check, because even like being able to look back and see what you struggled with at a match a year ago, and then now looking back at it and be like, do I still struggle with that? I don't still struggle with that. Look, I don't feel like I've progressed, but I have. So writing things down is a great way for me too. I write down all my workouts. That way I can see like how I'm progressing and being consistent. It helps me be consistent as well.
That's awesome. When's the last time you looked at an old video and just felt pain?
Oh, I did that just the other day. It was, I had a memory pop up from Area 3 back in like 2015. And my first thought was, why did I pick out those leggings?
That was clothing related.
That was bad. But, yeah.
You're going to tell me something totally different. The pants. I love you. That's awesome.
It was really cold and we were not prepared for really cold weather. In August in Mississippi, it is 100 degrees and we got up there and it was cold and rainy. Yes. So we went to this store and of course nobody had cold weather clothes either. So we found these leggings, like capri leggings at one store and we wore them underneath our shorts and it was a bad fashion move.
That's awesome. That's like high school days. We had the Sophies with the colored tights.
They were pink. These were pink.
Yeah, see, I've been there. I remember though Fort Benning was like that. It was supposed to be warm. It's Georgia and it's still November, so whatever. But yeah, I was not prepared. It was freezing cold, freezing rain, mud everywhere. And I had the 511 like capri pants. I needed pants. So I remember I looked like a hillbilly. So I still had the capri pants. I bought wool socks that I pulled up over those leggings. Then I had my like brand new mud boots and I looked like white trash. But there's videos.
You just got to do what you got to do though.
Yeah. Second day was a lot better. I was like warm. So I still have those boots. They're in my back of my truck. I wear them all the time.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I have a pair of Frog Togs that stay in my bag, or at least in my car, because I've shot way too many matches soaking wet too.
Too much. Frog Tog's awesome. They make the awesome towels too to dip in coolers.
They do.
Okay, wrapping up the major stuff and the shooting stuff. What does it take to really win your division, your class, your category at a major competition?
So winning open master is, I've never won open master. I think the highest I've ever been is second. I don't think I've ever won master. Maybe I have. But it just takes intense consistency. You've got to have everything come together. You've got to have the speed, you've got to have the accuracy, and the consistency. So,
and the dedication to one gun and one division. Oh, I love it.
You're just naturally very gifted, I guess. Or you just put in a lot of work. But yeah. And even with the women too, at a major match, you have to have all of it come together.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So wrapping up this whole awesome episode, I've really enjoyed this. I have to ask if there's one shooting discipline you'd really like to try, or maybe even like, I don't know, different something, shooting something. What would it be? What would you want to get into?
Maybe 3-gun. If I had like a perfect world and I had the time, and we don't have too much 3-gun around us. That's part of the reason why I've never gotten into it. But we kind of live in a little desert of shooting in general. But probably 3-gun, I think it would be really fun. And I think it would make me learn how to be a more well-rounded shooter. I think that was one of my biggest things at 2-gun was I'm usually so focused on one thing, and all of a sudden my brain had to be split in two. And that was kind of like mind-boggling for me. So I think 3-gun, I'm not sure my brain could handle 3, but I think that would be really cool.
So that's, no offense, pistol shooters, and I have been getting so much better with pistol, but it was awesome for us like multi-gunners to come in and be like, oh, let's see how well the pistol shooters do with 2 guns.
Y'all are laughing all day long at me.
I know, not you, just in general. We're like, hey, you forgot that target. Hey, that's this target. You know what I mean? Like, it's harder than you think in like gun manipulation and making sure things are unsafe and dumped in the right spots. Like, there's a lot more going on.
Yeah. And that's why I want to come back for redemption next year, because I don't think I left any targets, but surprisingly, every penalty I had was from a pistol. Because
the PCC threw off your game.
Yes. Every penalty I had was from pistol, but just not being familiar with all those things and having to think about dumping a gun and having to think about safety and the rules and all the different rules. Like I didn't know I could abandon a weapon.
Yep.
Like
Or
had
put on
no
the ground.
idea,
Mhm.
you know? So just learning all those things and being able to process them, I'm ready for next year so I can come back and hopefully redeem myself a little bit.
We should do like a did you video any of your stages actually from Two Gun?
A
Okay.
few.
We're
That
totally
was
gonna
like
do
the last of my worries, and I honestly didn't even want to see a video from that match. But then after I kind of recouped mentally, I was like, okay, I probably should look at them a little bit, but I only had a few.
I was thinking we should do a Daniel Tosh redemption, like old video. Can she do it? And I know you will. New video.
It wouldn't take much to be better.
Oh, right. Well, no, you are a much better shooter than you think. And that's the hard part. Yeah. Matches can like test your abilities when you are a great shooter, which you are, but you're really going to struggle with some other stuff that's going on. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that I'm sure that stage wasn't easy. Sorry to go on to like the next one.
Yeah, I think that was probably the hardest part with Two Gun was having the major gun malfunction on the very first stage. Yep. And then having to switch guns to a gun I had literally never shot that was like nothing like the gun that I had just trained my limited amount of time on. And so just going from that into the rest of the match was just it was tough.
Yeah, and like major stuff like that definitely carries over. I shared with you what happened at my Two Gun experience. See, it happened. I posted that video.
It does.
So awesome. And then when you're ready for Three Gun, there's 1,000 listeners right now that are literally screaming at you. We'll give you guns, probably even ammo at this point because we want people out there. So you name it. Doesn't have to be a major. It could be like a mini major. We'll get you there.
You'll give an ammo, I might come.
Yeah. No, I've got plenty that we want you to come. Like it'd be a lot of fun.
Primers, you'll have primers.
Yeah. Don't you have primers?
I mean, a few. I'm being rationed very heavily.
I know, right? All right, Sloan. Well, any other thoughts that you want to leave listeners with?
I'm just really thankful to be out here and competing. You know, when I came back to shooting really after finishing up school, I had a man tell me, well, really, what's the point? I mean, in a few years, you're just going to get married and have kids and like not have time for this anyway. And I was just kind of like, why does that have to be it? You know? And so I'm just really thankful that the Lord has continued to open up doors and let me be able to continue in the sport. I'm just thankful to be here and happy to be living the dream every day.
I love that. You're a testament to a lot of things that some people will use kids as excuses. And I do understand. I don't specifically, right? Know that they are a big deal, but what you said earlier, when your daughter spent more time in a hotel, my friends, Erica and Nathan, they just had a baby and they've had it fishing on the boat. They had spent more time with the baby on vacation than they had at home. Like that's amazing. Like you still can do those things. It's challenging.
You can. I mean, it's tough, you know, that Open Nationals, I got fourth at that Nationals and I was like, you would have thought I won. I was like, yeah. I mean, I literally slept like 3 hours like each night, you know, and then trying to shoot a national championship on top of it, and had just given birth like 5 weeks before.
Crazy.
But I mean, I think it's awesome for them to get to see, you know, your mom go after dreams and get to see the world. You know, she's been to, I don't even know how many states now, like all for shooting. She's been to Utah, she's been west, she's been east, you know, all over, you know, with shooting and traveling and stuff, and just getting to see all those different places and living those experiences, not just seeing them in books. So
yeah, 100%. You know, I didn't ask you this either, which I probably skipped over. Have you shot international competitions as well?
I have. So I was on the 2017 Women's Open World Shoot Team, and then qualified for Thailand and was hoping to shoot Thailand last year. Got postponed to this year, and now it's postponed to next year. So
we'll see.
Yeah, hopefully we'll be able to shoot that. You know, we won gold as a team, and then I was fourth overall individually. So I really have a goal of getting on that podium this year or next year.
Crazy good, Sloan. So, you know, you just hope that somebody does see what you're doing, like you said, and I can do that. She can do it. Yeah. So cool. I want to go international one day. My dream is world shotgun shoot. So
yes, it's so awesome. It really is so fun. It's amazing.
I love it. Well, thank you. Last things, any shout outs to sponsors, and how can people find you on social media?
Yeah, so thank you always to, of course, Precision Delta for keeping me well fed with bullets and primers and you know, brass and such, and then Double Alpha Academy for always keep me in with the best gear. You know, I never have to worry about my gear. And then Phoenix Trinity for an awesome gun that I never have to worry about the accuracy, the precision is always there. So thank you for those. And then Instagram, you can find me at Sloan Sanders, and then Facebook is Sloan Sanders.
Love it. Thank you so much for joining. I want to say like you've got to be the first female I've had on the show.
Oh, yay!
Which, and like we set the bar kind of high, so good luck. But you know, we never would have met if you hadn't gone out and tried two gun either.
Yeah, I'm so glad I met you. You were there for the day that it all came crashing down.
It's the worst. I've been there. That's why I said, I was like, I had the same experience. So, but you came back, and that's the thing too, is don't just get discouraged when you try something new, you know, and keep going. You never know.
Well, and thank you too, because, you know, I think one thing I've learned as the sport's progressed, or I progressed in the sport and just older and more mature and stuff, is, you know, of course we're all there to compete, but like, just like making friends in those relationships and supporting each other, us girls out there, you know. So thank you for supporting me in my really sad moments.
Always.
And then just, you know, being out there in the sport and ROing and helping other girls. So
I love it. This is the life. It's the dream life. So thanks again. And thanks for listening. Go check her out on Instagram, y'all. And if you have any questions, drop it in the comments or send us a message. So thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Reticle Up podcast. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Follow along on social media at Reticle Up or 3 Gun Kenzie.